Hello everyone, my name is Alexis. I'm going to be talking about foster care placement. I have come up with two solutions to figure out how to stop this problem from happening in the foster care system. Let's begin. Children in the foster care who switch places frequently have more behavior and emotional problems. These problems associated with this include attachment difficulties, internalizing and externalizing behavior problems, decreased academic performance, physical and mental health service uses, and delayed reunification in existing care. The median time a child stays in one placement is estimated to be 3.9 months. I found this all on the placement patterns in a foster care social service review journal. I found this graph that shows the lifetime number of foster care placements for kids and then how many times they have switched throughout their lifetime. You can see 16 or more kids have switched 11.4% in their stay with a foster care home. To me, that seems so high because 16 different moves could really internally and externally hurt these children if they have moved that much. You can see that the average amount or the highest amount is 6 to 8 times, and that is 21.1%, which is still a lot of moves for a child to have in their lifetime. Some information I found on placement trends include that older children are more likely to switch than younger children, girls are more likely to change than boys, children removed because of neglect are less likely to experience change. So the other types of abuse in the journal that I found this is that children removed because of sexual or physical abuse are more likely to change than children that are removed because of neglect. Children who have been in the system before have a more likely chance to switch placement multiple times, and children who have been moved before are likely to change placements. So children who have been moved to different homes are more likely to keep moving to different homes. I found all of this information in Children in Foster Care, a longitudinal study of child and case influences journal. Who does not get moved for placements? So, relative care has the least amount of changes in placements for children. Non-relative care has the second least amount of changes. Group home placements have the third highest amount of changes. And then children in emergency shelter have the highest amount of changes. So, children that are in emergency shelters, foster care, move the most amount of times. And this is just because emergency shelter means that it is not a permanent place, so they are looking for new homes for these children. And then you can see that the group home placements have the third highest amount of changes, and that's also because group homes are not permanent placements. It's mostly group homes are like, they go through a program and then are placed in foster care homes after they finish the program to try to help them get better. And then relative care has the least amount of changes, which is one of the solutions that I come up with that we will talk about in later slide. The pamphlet that I found, the image on the right side of this slide, shows that there are 438,000 kids in the United States foster care system. The median age of a kid in foster care is 9. 2 to 3 placements on average for children, and then there are 46% are in non-relative homes. You'll see more on that in the next slide, which has image of the different placement settings of children in the foster care system. So 47% of kids are in a foster family home that are non-relative. 8% of kids are in a group home, 10% institution, 1% supervised independent living, 2% runaway, 3% trial home visits, 4% pre-adoptive home, and then 25% is in foster family home relative. So the two highest homes for children in the foster care system are non-relative and relative. The solutions that I found is that kinship placements, so relative home placements, are better suited to facilitate family, cultural ties, and assist them to develop their own cultural identity. So family relative homes helps with psychosocial development. Most of the time, relatives live in the same community as biological caregivers, so this allows the kids to experience less disruption to non-parental relationships and institutions. They will not have to move schools. They will be able to keep the same friends, which will lessen the behavioral problems and allow them to have somewhat of the same home life that they've had prior to being removed from their biological or caregiver before they were into foster care. Children who would receive more available resources from kin caregivers than non-relative caregivers. Individuals are more likely to protect and nurture their own blood and invest resources on a child related to them. So more adults are likely to invest their resources and time on a child that is related to them by blood rather than just a child that they get from the foster care system. Children placed with kin may experience less issues with belongingness and adjustment. Because kinship bonds rely on shared experiences, most of the time children who have this with their own relatives. So they already have an attachment bond formed, which allows them to experience less issues with belongingness and adjustment in their life overall. Then also, another solution I found was that adults that have economic resources are better adjusted to take care of foster care children, because this helps the child's well-being and it shows that there is more positive outcomes if the adults in their have more economic resources to provide them. I found all of this information in the Effect of Placement Type on Child Well-Being journal on JSTOR.org. Here is another image that just reiterates that kinship care is the best care for children. It says it improved placement stability, they won't be moving around as much, decreased behavior problems, higher level of permanency. You can see the quote here that being placed in a kinship care has been found to decrease the risk of disruption. Children entering kinship care has a lower estimated risk of behavioral problems, and children initially placed in kinship care as compared to family foster care were more likely to reunify or exit the guardianship, so more likely to reunite with their parents biologically. To wrap up this presentation, children placed with a relative care are less likely to move from place to place and more likely to have a better life outcome. Kinship care provides children with the same cultural ties and identity as biological parents, and adults with economic resources provide a better home for foster children to have higher well-being and more positive outcomes. I hope you guys have learned a lot about the foster care placement and the problems surrounding this topic. I hope that these two solutions, kinship care and economic resources, are incorporated in the foster care system more so that we can have better outcomes for children that are in the foster care system. Thank you for listening.